All righty. Hello, all. Here goes the pop up. We're back at it again. And I have Pastor Trey with me. I'm Kathy Anderson. And we're just going to pop on in there, right?
Absolutely. And I'm sharing right now as we speak.
Because we don't have them very often. So, once again. But if you've prepared for this, you know that we are talking about grassroots. So you say grassroots what? Right? You often hear it with grassroots organizations, we hear projects, we hear programs, and we're going to let Pastor Trey just tell what that means.
Grassroots, Miss Kathy, is I can't say it's exactly how it sounds, but when you think about the building of a building or something to that effect, you think about where does it first start? And it starts on the ground level. And it even starts with the idea of digging up the grass and then placing roots or putting a foundation underground. So when we talk about a grassroots organization and the importance of it, is that sometimes what exists cannot be modified. A system is too entrenched in the way it is, and you have to start something that is not connected to anything else.
Hmm.
And so that's the idea of grassroots or a new start, especially when it comes to new organizations, nonprofits, or things of that nature. So I think it's extremely important that whoever is listening to this in our audience, that they understand that a reformation can only go so far, a reformation of an organization or of a system, because the truth be told, like in New York City, the number one spot in that city is what? The mayor's spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mayor, then your city council. But the second place is the office of the public advocate.
True.
So government should always have a place to look at the system and say, is it working for the people? See, some people say legal means right, and that's not true. Legal
Mm-hmm.
means enforceable. That's what that
Okay.
means. Legal means enforceable. But when you look at an advocate standpoint, we ask ourselves, does the system serve the people in which it governs or the people in which are in leadership?
Hmm. You touched a lot of things. I never realized and broke down grass and roots.
Really?
That's amazing. Sometimes I think sometimes we think so high, we forget break down the basics of where things come from. So that made so much sense. And then the advocacy piece, I think sometimes that's the disconnect with many of our nonprofits and just people that are general advocates, not really realizing the power that they have and the impact that they can have, as you said, a lot of times on the laws. So why is this so interesting? Like what made you even think about touching this subject?
Because, I want to start a grassroots community foundation and start a grassroots financial alternative.
Mhm.
But there is or there are existing laws, right?
Mhm.
And so when you look at the existing laws, you have to ask yourself, now this is 20,000 square foot view looking at the very top, looking down. Do I want to start with the same vision and but yet with the same existing structure? That's the legal piece, if you will. Do you hear
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so that's my challenge because if I utilize the same structure, I'm going to eventually turn into the same entity.
Okay.
So my question is, how do I research and find out the answer to create that new thing? For example, the rules of offshore banking and an account in the Cayman Islands is different than the U.S.
Right.
Tell me this? Why does a Cayman Island account exist?
Why does it?
Yes,
Aren't there people over there?
but why does it exist with its particular structures, its privacy? Why not just be a part of the normal international banking system as we know it in the US?
Messina, you're above my my whole grade. Because I'm thinking you specifically picked Cayman Islands, so I'm definitely not familiar. But is that like a general international bank that can do business? It does a business partly American way. Is it like an
It,
exchange?
there are they're a part of it.
Okay.
They're a part of the system. But the difference is,
Mm-hmm.
watch this, is that they do not have to share information with certain law enforcement agencies. It's not in there. There has to be, it's almost every situation is unique and specific. They
Okay.
are not forced to do that.
Okay. 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 And you and I
Versus,
probably would go against each other on this one. I know
yeah,
we would.
but it's interesting though because of you got to hear it though. It's just different.
I mean, I get it. And it's different because of things that we're more protected. I'll still say that when I know the background of why some things exist. Because some things have evolved just in the past decade or a couple of decades. Um, it's why we have certain benefits of structure and they don't. So if I'm in the Cayman Islands, again, I don't know about the Cayman Islands. I'm more familiar with Africa and different countries. If I'm there and I have $1,000 and I lose it, I just lose it for the most part because those same entities can get it when they want to, whether the bank
I
chooses
don't
to
disagree,
say.
but this is why we talk about grassroots because it's about the foundation. Like there are some people
Mm-hmm.
that have a lifestyle that need extra protection and privacy,
Okay.
for better or for worse. And so how is this relevant? I think that when we create something that's grassroots, we have to be mindful and we have to be mindful that we don't in our mind create something new, but in functionality it's the same thing, but like different paint. And it's no better than what exists. So you might as well just try to rehab what existed versus you give people a really different answer. Like we talk about, there may be 9 trillion different grant writers, like you're a grant writer. But the difference is there are other things you bring to the table in your processes that
Mm-hmm.
make it's no longer a one-shot deal. It's an experience with you.
Okay. You're
And
right.
then you have certain, like if you come in with a little bit of money and a vision, you may be able to take somebody different versus a person who only knows how to handle a particular application, and you got to have certain checks and balances already done.
Right. Okay.
And so the uniqueness of it, now mind you, what I've learned to in these notions where there are certain laws change based upon the leadership of existence.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not necessarily there's a difference of right and wrong, but there's a question of what's enforceable and is it worth making the change? Just like, we think about the rights we've gotten, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those things were, could be changed by the majority rule.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um, listen, I got to get this. Um, I want to do this. I want to do another pop up. Let's do another pop up tonight. But the reason why I wanted to share this and start this conversation because
Okay.
grassroots, we got a really good opportunity that we can help people create stuff that doesn't exist if they're not afraid to be a part of the changing process.
Mm.
Meaning,
Right.
if you're not afraid to change laws and to shift wealth from one group to another, like remember the phone company folks, then that went
Mm-hmm.
over to the phone folks, and then that
Mm-hmm.
went over to this wireless group, and it's just the
Mm-hmm.
same money being moved to different people with better ideas.
Right.
So
Right.
let's talk through that. Can we do that?
We can do that.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you, Kathy.
All right. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace. Hey, you guys, I'm just going to stay on a little longer. Please look out for us later tonight. And again, as we always say, we're going to try to do more pop ups. It's really important in this climate. Remember, this is election year in many, many areas. You're local. Please know who your who's running in your area. That makes a difference. We can't talk about them being unfair because while there's one side where, like you said, influence, he did say majority. So sometimes, many times, we are the people who are the majority. So I can encourage you all, please pay attention to your public meetings. If you have children or grandchildren in school, pay attention to those public meetings. They don't know it unless we go to them. So do your due diligence, whether you're a leader, nonprofit leader, or just a community person. Be that advocate. We're all here for a purpose, and we'll talk about that more later tonight. So, otherwise, you'll see in the description if you are a nonprofit, you want to start one, you want to speak with us, and knowing how to go further, or we're running into a lot of them. Whether you couldn't get the money last year, for whatever reason, your paperwork or something is not correct. Let's talk about it. So, free consult, nonprofithelpneeded.com. You can go there. Or, yeah, that's the other thing. If you have a nonprofit and you just want a general checklist to see if, what it takes and the steps that it takes or what you need in place to qualify, it's just a basic list. It is iamgrantready.com. So, otherwise, reach out to us, DM, however, and we'll talk because it's really important about that community and about especially the grassroots organizations and programs and projects that you're doing. So we'll talk to you all later. Peace.